Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald is the sequel to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and essentially the second movie in this prequel series of Harry Potter movies. I was really looking forward to this movie when it was coming out. I'm a big fan of the Harry Potter movies. I love most of them, and even Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I enjoyed it for what it was. And even the way that movie ended, I was definitely interested in the creative license that these new Fantastic Beasts movies were going to take. I'm thinking, you know, we got a new villain in Grindelwald, we got Newt Scamander still doing his thing, maybe we're going to learn more about the Wizarding World. There was a lot to be excited about going into this movie, no doubt about it. After watching The Crimes of Grindelwald and having thought about it more and more, I have to be honest with you guys, and it actually pains me a little bit to say because I do love Harry Potter, this movie was a train wreck. Like, honestly, I just gotta say it, I hated this movie. I really did not like it. Let's start off with the opening scene, because let's start with one of the few positives in this movie, and that was the opening scene. The opening scene in this movie is actually pretty entertaining. We have Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp. He's being transported to a new prison. I want to say he's being transported to Azkaban. And, you know, through his wit, through his magic, he's able to orchestrate it so that he actually is able to escape. He kills the people who are trying to transport him. Now he's free to do whatever he wants to do. I will say, I really like Johnny Depp's portrayal of Grindelwald. You know, he's menacing, he's evil, he's really smart. You can tell he has this malicious intent. But here is the biggest problem I had with Grindelwald. He is hardly at all in this movie. He has this opening scene, he has the big closing scene at the very end of this movie, which I will get to when I get to, and then he has little fragments throughout this movie of him briefly in it doing just stuff. The whole time I was watching this movie, I'm just like, isn't this guy in a way supposed to be like the title character of this movie? Isn't he supposed to be the focal point? Why is he barely in this movie? Like, you have this guy, he looks like he could be a great villain for this story. You have a great actor who's playing him. He's shown promise in the scenes he's been in this movie. Why are you showing so little of him? It really makes you wonder why the movie was called The Crimes of Grindelwald when Grindelwald himself is barely even in this movie. Let's get over to Newt Scamander. He's still doing his thing. He's still basically a magic zoologist, you know, doing what he's doing, you know, working with the beast that he has. But I'm gonna get into the other gripe that I have with this movie. The movie's called Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I don't see the point of Fantastic Beasts being in the title of this movie because the Fantastic Beasts, they're hardly in this movie. I mean, you still have a few returning creatures from the first one. You have that little platypus little creature that steals a bunch of jewelry. You have the little twig that stays in Newt's pocket. You get a couple new creatures here and there. I mean, you have this little seaweed horse that swims. You got this big lion flying thing. But really, in terms of Fantastic Beasts, that's it! And really, they don't provide really anything to the story. There's no point to them being here. They're just here because, you know, it's the Fantastic Beasts franchise, technically, so they have to be here. Once you look at the title of the movie, it's called Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. The Fantastic Beasts, that should have been removed entirely. See, I've barely even gotten into this review, and already the biggest flaw I have with this movie is its title, because the title, it didn't make sense for this movie because neither of its focal points mattered. So now let's get into what I guess the plot of this movie is. I'll delve more into that later, but you have Newt Scamander. He's approached by younger Albus Dumbledore, who's played by Jude Law, and he tells him that he needs to go after Ezra Miller's character because he still has that obscurus parasite inside him that was wreaking havoc in the last movie, but now he has control of it. But now everyone's coming after him, and Newt has to help him. Because it is believed that Ezra Miller, having this obscurus power in him, is being targeted by Grindelwald to be swayed to his side, because Grindelwald believes he can use Ezra Miller to kill Dumbledore. Now let's get into the younger Albus Dumbledore. Again, another positive I had for this movie was Jude Law's portrayal of a younger Dumbledore. Because you do see elements of Dumbledore that we're used to seeing. You know, he's very wise, very well spoken. And in the flashback scenes of Dumbledore teaching a younger Newt, you know, teaching class against the defense of the dark arts, you know, it's definitely interesting to see. It's nice seeing his take of teaching. But again, I have the same problem with Dumbledore as I do with Grindelwald. He is barely in this movie. It's basically the exact same way with Grindelwald. He has that one opening scene where he talks to Newt, and then, you know, it's just some flashback scenes of him here and there that are just scattered throughout the movie. It's like Dumbledore really provides nothing to this movie any more than Grindelwald does. I mean, he's just here because he's Dumbledore and you feel he should be in a Wizarding World movie. That's really the only reason he's here. It's like, I get it. Dumbledore is one of the biggest characters in the Harry Potter universe. I get that you want to have him in this movie, but give him a purpose. Throwing Dumbledore in there just for the sake of having him here and really having him do nothing, that's just teasing the fans. And now at this point, Newt reunites with Jacob and Queenie. yeah, apparently Jacob's memory is restored because, you know, the memory spell, it didn't work on him because it doesn't affect bad memories, which is very quickly passed over. Like, really, wasn't erasing Jacob's memory, like, a really big point in the last movie? And now you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, it didn't work. Whatever. Good to have you back. It's like, okay, well, now magic doesn't make sense anymore. And yeah, I want to touch on Queenie for a second. I mean, I was never a huge fan of her character in the first one. I thought she was kind of annoying. She's even more annoying here. I mean, oh my god, I wanted this bitch to just shut up. But, you know, she's in this movie so they can explore upon her and Jacob's relationship, you know, how it's very dysfunctional, that, you know, she tried to enchant him and, you know, he's a muggle and she's a wizard. They can't be together. You know, just... they gotta add complications to the movie. You know, the three of them are together. They unite with Letta Lestrange, who is believed to be Ezra Miller's stepsister, or no, not stepsister, actual sister. So, you know, they believe that she can help them out in, you know, stopping him from falling into the hands of Grindelwald. That, I want to say, is basically the plot. But guys, the plot of this movie is a complete mess. The plot of this movie is completely unfocused. You know, on one side, you have Grindelwald. He's doing his malicious things, you know, trying to, you know, pull off his elaborate scheme. And then on the other side, you have Newt. He's trying to uncover the mystery behind Ezra Miller. He's trying to work with Letta Lestrange in figuring out exactly what is going on with him. And then you have Jacob and Queenie's, you know, relationship dynamic that's, you know, a part of this movie. And literally, the plot of this movie just skips around between all these different plot lines throughout all the different parts of the world, wherever someone might be. It's just become so jarring and confusing. It's so unfocused. Look at each Harry Potter movie we got. They all had a very focused plot and a very focused story. It made the movie flow well, you could follow along with it, you became invested with its characters, and most of them turned out to be great. This movie is completely all over the place, and let me say it right now, I didn't give a fuck for a single character in this movie. There is zero character development in this movie whatsoever. I didn't care at all for Newt Scamander. I mean, you feel like he's just there for the sake of being there. He even says at one point that he really doesn't want to be involved in this mission. He just has no choice to because, you know, Dumbledore told him to. Queenie annoyed the shit out of me, so clearly I didn't give a shit for her. Jacob really didn't provide anything to this movie. I mean, you would think because he provided something to the last one that he provides something here. He really doesn't. Even Letta Lestrange, I didn't care for her. She didn't do anything for this movie, I felt. I mean, the movie tries to set up a love triangle, kind of, between her, Newt, and Newt's brother, because Newt's brother is engaged to her, but, you know, Newt had a crush on her when they were at Hogwarts, and he still might, so, you know... Again, just something else to throw into this movie. But you do see the backstory with Letta. Apparently, you know, she was on a boat with her family and her baby brother, who was thought to be Ezra Miller. He wouldn't stop crying, so, you know, she traded babies because, you know, she's kind of fucked. And, you know, the ship ran into a storm, and, you know, the baby that she traded, which was her brother, he drowned. Even still, like, you see in that moment, it's like, what was Letta Lestrange's intention? Really, she just swapped babies at one point, so, you know, I guess her intention was like, alright, I'll just put him back when he stops crying. It's like... You don't know what could have happened in that moment. It's like, just deal with it. It's a baby. Babies cry. So like, no, I'm just going to let the chaos happen. I'm just going to switch them because, you know, I want them to shut up. It's just a moment that really made Letta Lestrange extremely unlikable for me. But, you know, as Steve Coogan would put it,
everybody's a bit of a cunt sometimes.
That's, I guess, how I can sum up Letta Lestrange. Literally, the movie tries so hard to shoehorn this movie into the Harry Potter universe that it has to throw in a bunch of Easter eggs that literally mean nothing. At least mean nothing for the movie, anyway. I mean, you find out that Nagini, who is Voldemort's snake, apparently she's actually a human being. She's a wizard, but she has some kind of condition that turns her into a snake, and eventually she's gonna permanently become a snake. Yeah, that right there shows you, I guess, how Nagini turns into a snake and eventually becomes Voldemort's pet. It's like, alright, what fucking ever. Does that provide anything to the movie? No. Does Nagini do anything in this movie? No. She's there to connect Fantastic Beasts to Harry Potter. Cool. You know what, I'm just gonna jump to the end of this movie because I really don't want to talk about this anymore. Grindelwald is hosting, like, a big, you know, rally for the Wizards. Like, oh, join my side, join the winning side, and everything will be great. One of those villain speeches he uses, you know, to sway everyone to his side, you know. Some Wizards do end up joining him. This includes Queenie, who he enchanted, you know, at some point in the middle of the movie that you kind of forgot about as it went along because the movie's just forgettable. But, you know, Letta Lestrange, in an act of decency, you know, she does brief battle. It wasn't even really battle. She just attacks the pit of fire that Grindelwald's staying in, which kills herself, but allows Newt and the others to escape free so they can face Grindelwald in the next movie. But bad news for the heroes is Grindelwald was able to bring Ezra Miller to his side, and you find out that the reason he was apparently after him, the reason I guess he has this great power inside him is because Ezra Miller is in fact a family to Dumbledore, a family member to Albus Dumbledore. You don't know if he's his brother or what he is. I believe he's his brother. But yeah, so, you know, he can summon the power of a phoenix. You know, he has that power to take out Dumbledore. That's why Grindelwald wanted him, because, you know, Grindelwald and Dumbledore can't, you know, kill each other because of a blood oath, because they were best friends, maybe even lovers back in the day. Yeah, the movie really doesn't address Dumbledore's sexuality as much as you'd think, but, you know, let's just roll with that. But here's the deal. The end of the movie is supposed to be that big reveal, like, oh, Ezra Miller's related to Dumbledore. Holy fuck, like, what's gonna happen next? When the reveal happened, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Did that have any significance to the story? Not really. I think that's the biggest complaint I have with this movie right here. If you've noticed in my review, the way I've talked about the story, the way I've talked about my complaints, nothing really happens here. All the movie is set up for the next Fantastic Beasts movie. Honestly, I look at this movie, the movie I believe is just under 2 hours long. You could probably take it, cut it down to like about 20 minutes of footage, put that footage in the next Fantastic Beasts movie, and literally, like, everything would, like, flow better. You'd know everything you need to know in the following movie, but no, they had to stretch it out to about 2 hours long to make money. That's basically what this movie is, guys. It's a cash grab. And I know people will try to defend, well, every movie that's in a franchise is set up, and this is gonna be set up for a great finale later. Okay, yeah, in every franchise that has a bunch of movies, every movie is set up to eventually, I guess, the finishing movie. Fine. But a movie that is nothing but set up, it fails entirely. In fact, a movie that is just set up, I don't think even really constitutes as a movie. Like, look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for example. Every movie, in a way, has been set up to Infinity War, right? But most Marvel movies are still great movies on their own, so, you know, you still roll with it. Hell, look at the Harry Potter movies, for example. They are all, in a way, set up towards eventually the Deathly Hallows, you know, towards that final confrontation between Harry and Voldemort. But each Harry Potter movie still has great content, still has a great story on its own, so it's still a great movie by itself. This movie is just set up and it's nothing else. That's why I didn't care for the big twist at the end, nor did I really care for anything in this movie, because it's all just a big tease. So yeah, all in all, guys, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, this movie's a shitty mess. Johnny Depp and Jude Law, I like them both as Dumbledore and Grindelwald, but neither of them are in this movie for very much, so I can't really say much more about them. Visually, the movie does look nice, but you're used to seeing that in a Harry Potter movie at this point. The characters in this movie were so hollow, so underdeveloped, I didn't give a fuck for a single one of them. The story is completely all over the place, it has a very unfocused plot. I barely even know what the story is really about to its core. The Fantastic Beasts had really no role in this movie whatsoever. Even the magic that is in this movie, none of it's exciting. None of it really feels like Harry Potter magic. The movie has a bunch of Harry Potter Easter eggs thrown in there for the sake of them thrown in there. I mean, really, Nagini did jack shit in this movie. And ultimately, all the movie is just set up for the next Fantastic Beasts movie that's just stretched out to a movie that's about 2 hours long, that's just boring as shit. And in the end, The Crimes of Grindelwald, this movie just failed, and I want to say something to J.K. Rowling right now. J.K. Rowling is one of the greatest authors of all time. There's no denying what she created with the Harry Potter books, but I'm going to say this right now. She's not a screenwriter, okay? Let's call it what it is. She sucks at that. She needs to understand that there is a difference between writing a book and writing a movie. They are very different beasts entirely. I don't think she's equipped to write movies. I don't think she is. I think if this is going to go forward, if it's going to be a success, they should find an actual screenwriter to do this. All I'm saying. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe. I'll see you all next time.